first of all, what's most important to remember is that not everything works out the way we want it to. And having faith is not about having faith that it's going to be what I want it to be. Not everything works out how we want it to. That's not what the universe is here for. So much of creation, so much of our lives makes us happy and joyful. Some of it on a superficial level, an ice cream cone, a pizza. Some of it on a deep level but fleeting, a sunset, a beautiful starry night. But that's not what the universe is here for. It's not about, oh wait, let me make sure that I do what you want. Oh wait, let me make sure that I do what feels good for you. Sadly, that's not the point. And actually, this is where you see so many questions about, why do bad things happen to good people? Or I prayed so much, I was so religious, such a good person, and then this horrible thing happened. And this is where we lose faith, because if our faith is rooted in the idea that God is going to make sure that everything comes out the way I want it, then when things don't come out the way I want them, I lose faith. Obviously, it would be like if you had a relationship with someone where the assumption was, I bring home the bread and you put dinner on the table, right? There's a lot of relationships in life where that's sort of the unspoken agreement. But you imagine if that were your unspoken agreement and you really thought that's what you had agreed upon, and you brought home the bread and there was no dinner on the table, you'd start to feel cheated. You'd start to feel betrayed. You'd feel like, hey, wait, I'm holding up my end of the deal here. Why are you not? But that's not what our relationship with the universe is about. There's absolutely no insinuation of a promise anywhere in any scripture I know of, by any great religious leader, sage, mystic I've ever heard of or read about, who said, if you are a good religious person, thank you. If you're a good religious person, the universe is going to give you whatever you want. If you're a good religious person, you will be successful in business. You will be the most popular person in your society. You will marry the person you want to marry. You will have a prosperous life. It doesn't say that. So, to have faith that things are going to work out in my favor is not something that in good conscience I can help you figure out how to do, because some things are going to work out in a way that feel good. Some things are not. If you've got the blessing of living a long life, there's going to be a list of things in that life that aren't how you would have necessarily done them if you had been the one in charge. There's going to be a list of things that if you had a magic wand, you would have done differently. What spirituality gives us, what religion gives us, what faith gives us, is the ability to understand what we're here for. And the ability to understand that even though this doesn't feel good, even though this isn't what seems to be in my favor, nonetheless, it's the situation that is actually most conducive for me to wake up, for me to take the next step in my own spiritual evolution. One thing that you find really frequently with people who have been through very, very difficult situations, who have lost loved ones, who have been diagnosed with terminal diseases, have really been through what we would see as catastrophe. What you see in a large number of them, a large percentage of them, is even though we can look at it and say, my God, what a catastrophe. Oh, poor this person. What you hear really frequently is, as crazy as it sounds, I'm actually glad it happened. No, if I could rewind it, I wouldn't do it like this again. But through this, through having to go through this illness, through having to go through this loss, through having to go through this trauma, I have touched a part of myself that I otherwise never would have touched. I've tapped into something about the nature of existence, about who I really am, that otherwise I never would have tapped into. And so even though, it hurt like crazy, it still hurts like crazy, I wouldn't do it all over again. Nonetheless, I actually really can see how it has furthered that ultimate goal of my awakening, my recognizing of what it's really about and who I really am. So when you think about having faith that things will go your way, rather what I would say is have faith that however it's going is your way. And how can you change how you see what's happening to make it your way? So for example, you start a new job and you thought that the whole reason you took this job was you were going to make a lot of money and it was going to be, a great career boost and it was going to take you somewhere higher. And when you get in, the first project that you work on, which of course, you're on one of these commission plans where they only pay you a little bit, but you get this great commission and, you really believed that you were going to be the one who was going to bring all of these projects, all of these products, all of these things to fruition. And the first one you do, it bombs. Second one you do, the boss doesn't even let it happen. You go with a presentation, doesn't even happen. And you go through several of these. And what you find is you're not making the kind of money you thought. It's not this stepping stone to success that you thought it was going to be. Rather, every day you feel more and more like a failure. Every day you question your own innovation and initiative and creativity and ability more and more. Well, so that's clearly not in your favor the way that you would think. And yet, if you're able to look at it a little bit deeper, what you recognize is maybe that wasn't the highest goal. Maybe that wasn't actually the point of the job. Maybe in that job, you were meeting someone who was going to play a very important role in your life. Maybe walking into that job, you had such an ego that you always knew the right answers, that you were the smartest, that you were the most creative, that you were the most innovative. And on your spiritual path, which remembers what it's all about, that ego was going to be way too much of an obstacle. And so the universe needed to send you something, anything, that was just going to break your ego enough for there to be some cracks into which the truth could flow. And so even though that situation is not in your favor career-wise, if you look at it and we understand, well, this is obviously how it's supposed to be in the moment, and the reason we know that is that's how it is, and the universe doesn't make mistakes. It's all in order of how things are supposed to be. Then the question becomes, all right, so what was I supposed to learn here? How was this supposed to be in my favor? Clearly not financially. Clearly not professionally in my career ladder. Clearly not in terms of my own self-esteem. What was this supposed to teach me? What was the point here? And so that really becomes the question, is not how can I have faith that the tides are going to turn and things will start to go in my favor, but rather how can I have faith that this is in my favor and that I just need to open my eyes better to see it. And again, in keeping with the theme from it was either last night or the night before about unhealthy relationships, that doesn't necessarily mean that when situations clearly feel that they're not right for you, that they're not in your favor, just recognizing that it is doesn't necessarily mean you should spend the next 60 years there. It may be in your favor for a while to teach you something. That job was in that man's favor to have him meet the person he needed to meet, to break his ego the way it needed to, or whatever it was. And then it served its purpose. But the man in his mind, it should not be about, oh, I had faith in God, when are things going to go in my favor? It's, thank you, God, for sending me this situation. I think I've learned the lessons. If not, please give me a sign that I should, stay back for a little bit longer. Clearly, I'm not nearly as creative or innovative as I thought I was in this way, or this just isn't, the right environment, or it is the right environment. And what I need is patience. What I need is patience for that seed to sprout. There's a gestation period for everything. If we looked at, pregnant women and thought they were failures for 8.5 months until the baby finally popped out, we'd miss that joy. Of waiting. Miss that joy of knowing that something wonderful was going to happen, because for 8.5 months we thought, oh my God, look at this. She was supposed to give a baby, nothing. She's just getting fat. Right? She's sitting around, she's doing nothing, she's getting fat. She was supposed to give a baby. Look at this. What, she can't even give a baby? Well, it's only been 8.5 months. Give it another couple weeks, you're going to have that baby. So you also want to be really sure when you think things are not going your way, that you're allowing them their full gestation period. And of course that you're nourishing and nurturing that gestation with whatever it needs. That you're feeding it literally whatever it needs to grow. So that's what we should have faith in. Not that somehow things are going to be in my favor. What about your favor? What about your favor? What about your favor? I mean, there's, if my favor means my company is the one that becomes number one, Well, if your company had been number one up until now and things go in my favor, now mine becomes number one, well, what about you? Right? You're just as entitled to the favor of the universe with regard to whose company is number one as I am. So it's not about things being in my favor at the expense of others as though somehow God were going to play favorites. In my favor is all in my vision, what I can see. So that's what our faith gives us, is the ability to change that.